Loop. We got a lot of stuff to get through today, some good stuff, so let's go ahead and get started. Just signing in here with my user that we made. Alrighty, let's use our database. Alright, so I want to show you the tables, and I want to show you that I've made a couple of changes here. I've made 3 new tables: pets, people relation, and people. And actually, I want to show you guys how I made the people table. So I'm going to drop the people table. So drop table people. So now if I show tables, alright, it's gone. Good. Let's go ahead and describe my table. And you can see we have our 4 columns with our 4 types, 1 for each column. Our name is at length 250 right now, and I want to show you guys how to change that. Let's say that you have a name that's going to be longer than 250. You're going to need to change that value to make it longer. So the syntax is alter table, and then you want to put the table name. And then you want to do a modify name, and then you're going to modify the type. So now it's going to be varchar 300, for example. And now when you describe my table, there you got it. You have varchar 300. Now you can fit names of 300 or up to 300 in there. And I wouldn't recommend shrinking this value unless you absolutely are certain that none of the data is less than 300 or 250 or whatever yours is. Just because it can get kind of hairy. If you shrink the data or shrink the type, you'll end up cutting a lot of the data off and you'll lose some of your data. So just do your research and make sure whenever you're modifying or writing an alter statement, you really need to do your research before you alter any of your tables. This is a huge change, and you could end up screwing up your data and losing your data if you're writing these statements without knowing what you're altering. So let's move on. I want to show you guys an update statement. Update table name, set. Sure. First of all, let's just look at it. What's in there? Select star from my table. All right. So I'm going to change. Let's change Nate. Let's say that Nate, he is a year older now. So let's update my table. Set age equal 11. So there you go. His age is now 11. Don't push enter yet, and I hope you haven't, because if you run this statement right here, you're going to change all the ages to 11. What we need to do is limit our statement. So we're going to say where ID equals 1. So now if you do your select, now you've got Nate is now 11 years old, but he's the same height. Poor guy didn't grow all year. And you can change any of these columns. You can write an update for name, age, or height, or even ID. I don't recommend updating ID. You shouldn't need to because it's just an integer. The reason I don't recommend it is because you could accidentally update it and set it to a value that's already in your table. But all these other ones, fair game, update away. All right, let's move on. I want to show you guys how I created that people table from earlier. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to create the table, people, and then you're going to create it like, and it's going to be my table. So if you describe people, now you can see it's exactly like my table is. And now I want to insert all the rows from my table into people. So let's do insert into people, select star from my table. Now if you just select star from people, there it is. You have all the data from my table into people. And one more thing I want to do is I don't really like how this guy just has ID in there. I want to change it to people ID, and you'll understand later on, but I'll give you a quick description here. When you start interjoining all your tables, it's good to know if it's a people ID or if it's a pet ID or if it's a whatever ID. So you don't just want to reference ID and then you have a record set that you pull up and it has ID and you don't know if it's a pet ID or if it's a people ID, or you have conflicts because the pet ID is just named ID and it's just a mess. So hopefully you followed me there. So anyways, let's alter this table. And instead of doing modify, you want to do change this time. So let's change ID, and then we're gonna. So ID is the old name. People ID is gonna be our new name, and then we have to tell it what type it is. Int. So let's go ahead and describe people. So you can see our ID is now changed to people ID, and that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. Let me show you the other tables I made. So we can drop table because we don't need it anymore. And let's just do a select star from pets. And you can see how I made this one. I've got a pet ID, a pet name, and a pet type. I've got Sally the dog, Palsy the cat, Hammy the hamster, and Helen the bird. And then I'm going to select star from people. Yeah, people, pet relation. You can see you have your person ID or your people ID and then your pet ID. So you can see people 1, and that's, if you look up here, people 1 is Nate, who just grew nothing but 1 year older, grew no height. So Nate has 2 pets. He has Sally the dog, and he also has Palsy the cat. Person 2, which is Dave, Dave has Palsy the cat, and he also has Hammy the hamster. Person 4, Ashlyn, only has Helen the bird. And then person 5 doesn't have any pets because she doesn't like pets. So let's backspace this here. I don't know how that got in there. Okay, I want to show you guys a quick, I guess it probably won't be quick because it's kind of complex, but I want to show you the power of interjoining tables. And you can see the way I set this up is you have, you have unique tables. So each row is an object. Each row is a pet. Up here, each row is a person. So these are what I call like object tables because each row represents an object. But this table down here, you can tell is different. It just has the IDs in it. It doesn't have any unique IDs. There's no primary keys in this table. There can be many to many. And so for that reason, this is called a relational table. And so, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it essentially relates 2 or 3 or however many tables you want to relate. It relates all those tables together. And then you can kind of merge your pet table and your people table using this relational table, and I'll show you how. So let's do a select. Okay, select star from, this is going to get from people, interjoin people pet relationship on. And let's clear this out. I forgot to do something. You can set aliases for your tables. So from people, that's my alias, PPL. Interjoin people pet relationship, and I'm going to call that PPR on PPL dot PPL ID equals PPR dot PPL ID. Interjoin pets on pets dot pet ID equals PPR dot pet ID. Okay. I hope this isn't too much to handle. Oh, it gave me an error. People-pet relationship doesn't exist. What did I call it? People pet relation. Okay. Anyways, gotta write that all again. Select star from people, PPL. Inner join people pet relation PPR on PPL.PPLID equals PPR.PPLID. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, here is the power of relational tables. This is awesome stuff. If you guys followed me during that query, you are essentially an SQL master. So you can see here that related every person to its pet. And so you can see that Nate is in here twice. That's because he has 2 pets. So let's write that query again, but order it. So I'm going to do order by name, and then we're going to say pet name. So there we go. We can see that Alicia has 1, Sally the dog. Ashlyn has 1, Helen the bird. Dave has Hammy the hamster and Pawsy the cat. Nate has Pawsy the cat and Sally the dog. And this is awesome stuff. What I want to do is limit our data a little bit. Oh, really? I'm going to go all the way over. I can't just click. This is one reason I don't like terminals. It's kind of hard to work with. But after this tutorial, I'm going to choose an editor that we can use for MySQL, and we'll be working from here on out. We'll be working through the editor. The reason I did this all through the terminal is because I think it gives us all a better feel of what MySQL actually is and how it works. So anyways, let's select just name, age, height, and let's do it right. I'm not doing that right. It will work that way, but it's not helping you guys learn. So let's do people. What do I call people? Yeah, people.name, ppl.age. You really should declare the table before each one. Because let's say, what if I just called this name instead of pet name? Then there'd be 2 names. So if I told it to find name down here instead of ppl.name, it wouldn't know which one and it would fail. So ppl.height, pets.pet name, and pets.pet. This should work. Okay, awesome. So this is a much cleaner data set. The other data is still there, but we just don't see it because we didn't select it. So I hope you guys realize how awesome this is right here. We can see that Alicia has a dog, Ashlyn has a dog, Dave has a dog, Dave has a dog, or sorry, Dave has a hamster, Dave has a cat. And I hope you guys can kind of read between the lines here. It doesn't just have to be people pets. You could create a third table that was house, for example, or car. Car would be a good one. And then you could relate each person to a car or multiple cars if they're super rich or if they own a junkyard, one of the 2. And then you could do a relationship table between the person and the car, and you could see and then you could lay it out like this: which person has which car. And you could even lay it out like you could relate the person to the animal and then to the car, so you could see which car each animal has. So Helen may end up with like 10 cars if she gets the right owner. Maybe Ashlyn owns a junkyard. Who knows? So there is honestly a lot of extra SQL stuff that we're not going to get to. This is the basic stuff. I encourage you to do some research. You can just search SQL. There's tons of stuff in Google, and especially on their websites. Oracle, I know, has a lot of stuff too. Oracle and Microsoft, they'll vary a little bit in syntax. I know there's a couple more. I think Teradata. I can't remember the other ones. But instead of inner join, you can do stuff like outer join. There's outer join. That just means, see, inner join only selects the rows that these guys have in common, and You know what? I'm going to make that another tutorial because we're running long. I'm going to make another quick tutorial here and just try and explain what all those mean because those get really complicated. So see you guys next time.